Hey, this is Richard Chancy, and I have my good friend and partner, Jerry Lawson, on the line with me, and we are about to dive into a pretty relevant topic for this time of year, and it's called 7 Ways Your Church Can Beat the Summer Slump. Now, you guys know as well as we do, summer's coming, and there is not a lot you can do about it. The heat is here, and it is time to get your church ready to be able to survive those lean weekends and those lean collection plates. So, Jerry, first of all, just wanted to say, thanks again for taking the time to do this, and really enjoy doing these with you.
Absolutely. It's been fun, and being able to just speak to some great pastors is a joy of mine. And let me say this too, Richard, you may have planned on mentioning this, but all the great testimonies of Easter with our churches that are involved in 24 to Double have been amazing. I know a lot of you guys are listening right now, and it really pumps me and Richard up whenever we hear about the great results, all the people who came, how many gave their life to Christ, and it's been amazing. So keep those good testimonies coming for sure.
Yes, I should have mentioned that off the top. That has been a huge encouragement to me as I sit here and try to find ways to serve you guys and get more churches involved. So that is, man, that's like fuel for us over here. So diving right into this, hey, Jerry, I talked to a pastor this morning, and one of the things that we got talking about was just how difficult this season can be, and this guy's already having a pretty rough time. So before we dove into the 7 things, let me ask you this. What's the worst summer you've ever had with your church?
Wow. I don't know. It would probably, I'd have to say it was the time we were building our existing facility. And, I'm making decisions every day based on finances. Back then, there was not a whole, and it's only been about 5 years ago, but there wasn't a whole lot of electronic giving going on. And so when the summer came and our finances took a dip, and I'm spending money like crazy because I'm building a new big building, the attendance took a dip. I'm building a bigger building with twice the seating, and I'm hearing the enemy scream in my ear, "You've lost your mind." You're putting more seats in when, you've got a lower attendance. You're spending more money when you've got lesser deposits each weekend. So, yeah, if you don't get your head around the season, where you are, what's happening, if you don't learn how to flow with the cycles of a church, then it'll mess with your head for sure, and I've been there.
Yeah, that's big church problems.
Yeah.
Building buildings, and it is. And, the interesting thing with my background in building churches, I sometimes I would go into, interview with a church or something, and they would talk about, hey, well, our previous building, we've had such a good experience and all this kind of stuff. And I'd always respond and say, you didn't have anything to do with it, did you? Because if you have a good experience building a building, you did it wrong. Something you weren't involved enough or something like that. And I tell you, I know for me, if I would say one of the most challenging seasons I've had in either ministry or serving ministries was probably last summer. And the only reason I mention that is because we were starting up 24 to Double, trying to kind of get our arms around this thing. I'd committed to some stuff with you and Lance, and walked away thinking, do I really know what I'm doing with this thing? And the point I want to make is it can consume your entire being. When you're having a difficulty in the thing that you're called to do, it seeps into every area of your life. And if you're in that season right now, I would just tell you this, that oftentimes, before you're going to have the breakthrough, you got to have a breakdown. And maybe that's where you are right now, and we're heading into summer, and we're about to do this webinar, and you're already feeling the weight of everything that's going on, and then here's summer's coming. So I just want to tell you that, if you're struggling, you're still heading in the right direction. Okay. Hey, and then let me throw this at you too, Jerry. Here's another quick slide. Have you ever asked the question, is this it? Meaning, when you looked at kind of where you were in ministry and kind of looked at it out across the landscape, did you ever think, man, is this really what I signed up for? Is this all there is to it?
Well, I would definitely say there have been many times where I realized that what I signed up for is not what I thought it was going to be, for sure. And it's been a very humbling experience. The challenges. I just had lunch today with a great, him, Malcolm Carter, pastor of Temple Baptist Church. one of the top 100 fastest growing churches in America, and he was one of our first 24 to double churches, and he and I were just talking about how the larger the church gets, the more humbling it is, because the challenges just get bigger, and you have to rely on God more. I remember when the finances were low early on at Daystar, if we couldn't pay the bills, I could just not take my salary that week, and we could pay the bills. Well, today, if I don't take my salary, it doesn't make any difference. That's not going to fix the bill problem at Daystar. So it does. I mean, there are many times you go, wow, I really thought having a larger church was going to be different than it is. And I can remember when the church was smaller, there's a lot of things about that. I just didn't expect it to be the way that it was. But through it all, I just knew that it was about the people. There's always people showing up. They need encouragement. They need love. They need their life to be changed. They need salvation. They need to meet Jesus. And that is what I signed up for. And through all the challenges of ups and downs, there's always people showing up. Not always as many as I want, but there's always people showing up. And that was why I got in it. And I'm sure every pastor listening to this right now, you didn't get in it to be on TBN. You didn't get in it to make a lot of money. You got in it for the people. And somebody's going to show up this weekend, and you get the great honor of telling them the greatest story you ever told, and that's why you signed up. So don't ever lose sight of that fact.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so point number one is embrace the season. When we're talking about the 7 ways to beat the summer slump, talk to us about embracing the season.
Okay. So, first of all, you've got to learn to roll with the seasons. If you're not a 24-month pastor, where you change churches every 24 months, if you're going to stick around, you're going to have to learn how to embrace the season of your church, the season that you're in. And the summer season is a fact. People are going to go on vacation. About 25% of all vacations happen in the month of June. Now, that leaves 75% for all the rest of the year. So what that means is most of your people are going to be gone on vacation. So first 2 weeks of June, I'm out of here. I'm going to embrace the season. That's a good time for me to let someone else preach. I'm not going to fight it. So I know that there's going to be some really low days in attendance and some really low deposits. So, what I want to do is don't get mad, get prepared. And what I mean by that is I'm going to prepare. I'm going to go and take my vacation at that time. I don't want to wait until, everybody else has already taken up the calendar and everybody that's going to take some time away has taken their time, and then I'm left being gone right as the summer is ending and the school year's ramping up. I'm going to prepare and make sure I'm away at the time that most of my people are away. And you can do that by just checking your attendance calendar or your attendance listing over the years. And we find that actually our attendance tends to tick back up in July, but it's really low in June and it ticks up in July. So I get out in June. Now, another thing is I want to set aside some money. I don't want to spend all my money and be real tight and without some funds set aside, because I know there are going to be some really low weekends. So that's really important. So those are a couple of really good pointers. Next slide says just don't set big attendance goals. This is not a good time to get out there and say we're going to break this attendance record. Now, there have been seasons in our story at Daystar where we did break some records in the summer, but by and large, year after year after year, that's not a time to do that. It's not a time to add new services. If you've been busting at the seams, praise God, maybe Easter was big for you this year and you're busting at the seams. That's great. That's a momentum builder. Let that stay like that. Keep talking about parking problems. Keep talking about attendance problems and seating problems, because you're probably going to have a little bit of a dip in the summer, and then go ahead and plan for the fall to be when you would add new services. Another thing I'd say is, if God wakes you up in the night with this burning sermon series, now if you have to preach it right now, that's great. Maybe God spoke it to you and it's right now, but think about, can I put this on hold? Can I let that be my big fall series? Because that may be, if that's the one you're the most passionate about, that's when most of the lost people are going to be there. That's when most of the friends are going to invite their other friends. So that's another thing. Don't put your best sermon series in the summer. Next item, groom the bullpen. You've got some people who want to preach, and this is your opportunity to let them speak. The attendance is going to be low. People are looking for you every weekend if you're the senior pastor. You can't make them happy every weekend, so let this be the weekend that you're not speaking. And just go ahead and attend your church. Just show up. Come late even maybe. I mean, come 5 minutes before service time and figure out what it looks like for a first-time guest. Walk into children's church. Check out what's going on over there. Sit in the back and just see what it's like. You might find out that there's Grand Central Station at the back door in and out, and you never noticed it. But this is a good opportunity to do some of those things like that you've been thinking about.
Yeah, let me circle back to one thing you said earlier on in that conversation, Jerry's about putting money aside for the summer. In my years working with churches doing consulting, when we were getting ready to build, we'd always have to have the conversation about making sure that you are not making decisions that are going to affect your building budget 2 years down the road. So if we know we're going to start to build this building in a year and a half, we've got to start getting ready now. And then you have to look at all the other decisions that you would normally make in the course of ministry, hiring staff, those kind of things, big decisions that you're going to make. Those things would impact your ability to fund the building project. And in a smaller way, but in the same vein, in your church right now, if you know summer's coming, a lot of times financial decisions get dispersed across a staff. So you want to be able to take a look at any expenditures that don't need to happen this time of year. You want to make sure that you're in control of those, especially if they're larger expenditures, to make sure that you're not taking cash from a place or a time of year and so where you don't have it. So it makes sense to spend a little extra time preparing for that.
It does, and even hiring staff. If you're hiring a staff person and you can hold off, give them, say it's a student pastor, something like that. I know there's a lot of summer activities, but the real time that summer activities will not grow your church. They just won't. Your church grows in the fall and it grows in the spring, sometimes at the beginning of the year. But it's summer activities are at best an opportunity to make relationships, get contact information that we can promote the big growth season in the fall. So, if you're hiring a youth pastor, it might be a good idea to just wait. Hire him in August, let him get his feet on the ground, let him get to know the students a little bit, and then come September, late August, school ramps up. That's a great time for him to really start getting a hold of these kids. So, if the budget's going to be tight, don't hire him in June, don't hire him in May. Wait a couple months. Make it happen toward the end of the summer when your givers are getting back in off of vacation and you can handle that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about giving a little bit later on, but that's one thing to think about in terms of what the offering is going to be like and knowing it's going to be down a little bit.